think Manchester has always been pretty much of a stronghold for all sorts of stuff, hasn't it? You know, and car scene-wise, it's probably one of the best areas in the country. It has been.
I think car culture, you know, like for us and growing up with it from a certain kind of, you know, like working class background, it is an extension of yourself.
To be a little bit different and out there and be creative with what you're building, I think that's really important.
Into the rock and roll scene in Manchester from about 1978 onwards, and got involved in the biker scene. At the time there was like a massive lack of people who could manufacture seats for custom bikes. People made custom ones, and I tended to get into leatherwork and recovering and manufacturing seats. As things progressed, we ended up with a garage and working on old cars, breaking old cars for parts. It just progressed from there, really. Relics and rust, wow. It's a mad one, isn't it?
Yeah, we're a lifestyle shop, so you think of cars, you think of punk music, rock and roll, skateboarding, BMXing, motorbikes. It's all that under one roof.
It's just our lifestyle, something I've always done and what my boys have picked up on as well. You know, when they were young, they used to come out and work on the shows with me, doing the auto jumbles and lugging all the boxes of junk around, and I don't know, I just seem to fall in. And we like cars that are usable. I'm not into like all the shiny stuff. It's got to be used. I've got to go to the building site and, you know, and buy cement and, you know, and go to the tip. I can't be bothered polishing it, and if you can't use it, it's pointless having it, man. From being a young guy, I always wanted to go to America, and especially growing up in the 60s, and it was pretty bleak around our area, very industrial, out of the industrial northern heartlands, you know. I always had a radio playing in the house, and you'd hear the Beach Boys, then later on you'd hear the Eagles, Mamas and the Papas, and all that sort of Southern California sounds, which just sort of really, even though I love rock and roll, the Southern California sounds was a real cool vibe. Luckily we managed to get out there and, you know, as they say, go and live that dream. And I think Manchester's always been a great melting pot for so many different cultures.
I think the nice thing with the location that we've got here is people can turn up in the cars, and there's been times where we've had 500 people down for an open day, and we could have like 200 cars parked around the shop. You can't do that in the centre of Manchester, so we're close enough that people jump on a train, they'll come down and get a haircut, or they'll jump on a train from Manchester and come and grab a beer, or they'll drive out and just come and have a look around in the cars.
Yeah. I think Manchester has always been pretty much of a stronghold for all sorts of stuff, hasn't it? You know, and back in the day when, you know, I was a young guy, there was, you know, the Rainy City Cruises, which are famous for putting on big shows, you know, equivalent to what used to be put on in Alexandra Palace in London.
Don't matter whether you live 2 miles away or 1,000 miles away, people can see what we're doing. And it's crazy, like the people that follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and they're like people in New Zealand or...
Yeah, I can't get my head around this concept. It's like bizarre.
Yeah, my dad used to always like bollock me for being on my phone every day, but it's kind of paid off.
It really works, yeah.
It's what we do because we love it.
Oh no, you know, to get where we've got, we've eaten a lot of beans on toast, don't we?
Oh yeah.
Really struggled, you know, just in life in general, but I don't know, you just have a belief, don't you, that one day you'll probably get there, and if you don't, hey, well, it's been a ball on the way.
I'm Stephen Sanderson. I'm part owner of Oipoloi. It's a menswear store based in the northern quarter in Manchester. It's something that we've grown up with. We've always just been obsessed with sort of the hard to get stuff that's not necessarily the big, like super flash kind of thing. I think the Manchester thing is very like a low-key kind of almost scruffy kind of like take on it. Very much it's kind of like that hip-hop sort of borrow and take kind of, you get it and then you just take it and then you make it your own, and that's kind of the thing. And that's something that we've always done. I've always been into cars because my dad was into cars. I was always obsessed with them, looking at them, and especially because we was growing up in sort of 70s, 80s. That's kind of the era when that, like the RS kind of thing came into being. That kind of sports cars where they take a standard model and it's inspired by sort of probably like rallying and stuff, you know what I mean, is the sort of mainstay of that, where it sort of comes from. But a thing like the Mexico and like the RS2000, initially the colours, the graphics, the way Mexico was written, it's amazing. It's a similar thing to the way something's branded. They've just taken it and tweaked the design, but then when you sort of go further back and you realise that it's based on things like RS1600s and RS1800s, and then you start realising that, oh shit, this is like, that's what the real deal is, you know what I mean? Like this kind of like BDA engines and just obsessive kind of, like proper like rally cars, things that were built, where they only make so many, and then it's kind of like road legal. We started making this sort of documentary. We approached a lot of the sort of RS4 owners, and we found some amazing people, like mad obsessive people that were spending all the dough on the cars, putting turbo engines into RS2000s, spending like 20 grand on this, like you kind of think the car can't be worth 20 grand, and then them like, all this sort of like, don't film that, don't let the wife know, it's like it is an extension of yourself. It's like what you're into, what kind of, it's different people have different kind of approaches, isn't they? But I get the car and I drive the car and have it for a while and then I sell it because I like to sort of drive them, and some people seem to want to buy them and make them perfect and just put them in a box like like the people that have toys that don't open the packaging. It's kind of that, and I kind of go, I don't get it, do you know what I mean? I think having the toy and opening it, ripping it open, destroying the box is the way to go.
Midnight Lancs has been running for about nearly 2 years now, so we started off very, very small. I was really into cars as a child because of my father, and I really wanted to get into the car scene through that. When I actually did start to go to meets, it wasn't very a welcoming place for a woman in a male-dominated community, and I drove a very basic car at the time, which was just a little Vauxhall Corsa, just a 1.4. It wasn't anything powerful or spectacular. Hadn't really modified it that much, but I had plans to. I wasn't very welcomed with open arms with being a female and having this quite standard car. I kind of understood how other people may feel as females, people that don't have lots of money to spend on the car, and I wanted to create a space where everyone will feel included, no matter if you drive R35 or a little Vauxhall Corsa, or it doesn't really matter. I think having a car that is standard and having that vision of how to modify it and how to make it look good and to make it your own as well, to be a little bit different and out there and be creative with what you're building, I think that's really important. I do feel like I'm empowered by cars. Being a woman within the car community, it is quite difficult sometimes because you don't always get recognised for what you're doing, or for the car that you're driving. Sometimes I'll drive around and people will be like, oh, it's a girl driving that, and they'll be a bit shocked. There's so many amazing girls that I've met within the car scene that have created some crazy builds, and it shouldn't just be a male dominated place. I think what's special about where we're based in Lancashire and like Greater Manchester, etc., you can't really go anywhere without seeing a modified car. And you see some fantastic builds. People have really put their own spin on it, and some really unique cars out there.
There wasn't really a safe space for like people that were different like you, like being a woman that's into cars and me being obviously gay and into cars. It never felt like anyone was accepting of that. It was good to see that other people were enjoying the vision that we had for Midnight Lengths and the way that we took it.
Because of who I was, because I was a woman within the car scene, when the club was created, I kept my identity secret, and just I used to post like the meet locations in a group chat, and we'll all come, and because there was that stigma around it, and I didn't know how accepted I was be, and that was a bit of a secret behind it. So no one knew who was running the club at first. So when I did come out as owner and was confident enough to go through that, it was really welcomed, which was fantastic to see.
It turned you into such more like confident person, and the way that you came across, like definitely
definitely
came out your shell so much, and it was really good to see.